Hey everyone, it's BlueLizardJello and welcome back to the Surge walkthrough. Last time we completed our run through of this area, we got all the loot, we did take down the boss PAX or PAX, and we got the Imperator version 2.0, which is the enhanced version of the boss weapon you get from the very first boss. Today we are going to be traveling to the second zone, but before we do that, I want to show you my little farming route. And the reason this is so important is because not only can you get the full Rhino equipment, you can see here I actually do have all of the Rhino gear. I have the headpiece, I have 2 arms, both legs, and then of course I do have the chest piece. And I farm them all from a single enemy. Not only that, but during my farming session, I actually learned something very interesting, and that is this enemy is not only wearing the Rhino armor, but he also has a Mark II weapon, which means every time you actually get a cut of his weapon, he will drop Tungsten Alloy Mark II. I actually farmed it for about an hour, and as you can see, looking in the description of each of these items, all these weapons, each one is now at Mark II. So I will be going into the next zone with Mark II weapons of all types from the first zone, which is going to benefit us very, very greatly. And this was a very easy farming spot. All you need to do is leave the med station, go over to this exolift, and I did show this off at the end of the last episode. I didn't actually realize what I had stumbled on though, until I had started farming. This enemy right here is wearing the Rhino gear, and he has the Mark II weapon. Now, one thing to keep in mind though, with this enemy, you see the armor combination he has now. He has the chest, he has the legs, he doesn't have a headpiece on, and he doesn't have arms. Or he doesn't have armor, I should say. He clearly has arms. But if he is not wearing the piece that you need now, resting at the med station is not going to change it for you. Instead, what you need to do is actually quit the game, rest at the med station again, and when he respawns, he will have, at least potentially, a different set of armor. It will still be Rhino, but the combination should be different. So keep in mind, if you are looking to farm the full Rhino before you go into the second station, you can farm this guy. You just need to quit, rest, rinse and repeat as often as you need. I was actually really excited to find this out. I had no idea, but now that I know, any future playthrough I have is probably going to spend about an hour grinding on that single enemy to make sure I have everything that I could possibly want for the upcoming zone, which by the way is going to be a little bit more difficult than what we are used to here. In fact, I say a little bit more difficult, but frankly some of the enemies are going to prove to be a lot more challenging. But here we are on the rocket assembly station. This is where we fought PAX. Just over there is where he spawned from, but now because the boss is defeated and we did interact with that terminal down in the basement, we can go to the maglev and finally head to the next zone.
Next stop, Central Production B. Personnel arrival.
And here we are. Central Production B. We're going to see some familiar faces, but they are going to hit harder and typically have more health than what we're used to.
I mean, you already know that Creo is not just another company. Our founder, Jonah Gutenberg, has a vision of a better world. We've all seen what has happened during our lifetime. This is not the future we were promised. Jonah saw the world deteriorate before his eyes. It was not just the social, economic problems, the divide between the haves and the have-nots. No, it was bigger. Crops were failing, sea levels rising, droughts, floods, storms. Our world was dying. Project Resolve is designed not as a band-aid, but as a cure. With every launch, the integrity of our atmosphere is being strengthened. With every rocket's payload, our world is being reseeded for future generations. Jonah used his considerable influence to bring together world leaders and corporations to create the Kyoto Accord. No longer could the environmental changes be ignored. Many even deemed it too late. But Jonah had an idea, and using his company's extensive resources, he'd already prototyped what would become Project Resolve. And that's why you're here, to make a difference. That's why Creo's here. That's why we're all here, to make a dream reality. Not just for us, but for our children, and for our children's children.
Don Hackett once again feeding us some of the corporate mumbo jumbo that is supposed to make us excited to work for Creo. But one thing that, if you haven't noticed, is they talk about Resolve and they talk about the incredible things that it's supposed to do, but it doesn't actually tell us how it plans on doing that. It's simply we're launching rockets into the air to reseed the Earth? Something doesn't sound quite right. By the way, Iron Mouse, we did actually find one of those comic books. There'll be more on that later, but just keep in mind, vending machines, Iron Mouse, and shining coins. That's going to be very important later on. Speaking of important, one of my favorite parts of the game, we get a drone.
Connection failure. Rerouting. Manual link established. Welcome to main production. Worker number. Database error. Let me show you around.
Okay, so the drone has seen better days clearly, but it is our drone.
Let me show you around. Around.
Fabulous. Then where's operations?
Information unavailable.
Seems you've got a screw loose somewhere.
Thanks for your concern. Error. No loose screws found.
Right. So, where is everybody?
Unable to initiate link to CreoNet. No data available. Time to get to work. Let me show you the way. Terms of use and license agreement. How may I be of service? Provided by Creo. I'd like to help. I'd like to help. I'd like to... Please, hold the line.
Well, that's our drone, and we will get him suited up a little bit better later on, but we can use him at any given time currently. If we actually take a look, we've now filled in this spot with the drone module, the Focused Infra Blaster. And if we actually go into it and take a look, your drone fires an energized projectile at the enemy, dealing light damage. It can still be used without energy, but it deals very little damage. Even though it does very little damage, and by very little, I mean typically 1, maybe 2 if you're lucky, it can be used very, very effectively to actually pull enemies away from one another if needed. Now, it does cost 18 energy if you want to actually get it to do some damage, which, when you do, it actually is just a great way of doing some chip damage to some of your enemies. We're going to be using that quite a lot, especially in the area to come. But of course, let's go ahead and grab this over here. Just some free scrap. Oh, okay, some free scrap. There we are. And heading over to the elevator, he already interacted with that terminal. We're going to see some more of those terminals where it has an image of the drone above some doors, but until we get another power core, we won't be able to do anything with it. But he was able to get this elevator functioning for us, so we'll just wait for it. Just a quick word of advice, wait until the elevator has actually been up for just a second or so before you run in. Otherwise, you might run in and it doesn't activate. And then, I've had it happen where I then leave the elevator to come back, and as soon as I step off, it then descends and I have to wait. So, just give it a second. By the way, one of the reasons, or the reason I should say, that I'm not currently wearing Rhino armor is simply because I don't have the core power to wear it all and the implants that I want to wear. We are going to take a look at the implants that I currently have installed when we get to the med station, which, by the way, is coming up just straight ahead. Here it is, just teaching us how to use our drone using Y. I'm using an Xbox One controller. We'll call out the drone, and you can see this other drone has very, very little health. So even though we don't have any energy, that drone is now toast. Straight ahead in that doorway, just above my head, is the med station. We're going to be heading there in just a second, but before we do that, we can actually go down here to get another free item. Some tungsten alloy. This is Mark II. Now, it's only 3, so it's not enough to upgrade a single item, but it is a start if you didn't farm back in the previous section. Get some massive damage going here, get the kill. Apparently, I actually don't need any of the cuts at the moment. That will change a bit later, but for now, don't really need it. You didn't drop anything, did you? No, that's just some fire. Now right here, We can smash this open, but we do have a door in front of us. We're not going to be opening that up for quite a bit, but that is going to be a shortcut back to the med station later on. Now, even though I know a lot of the criticisms for this game talk about how all the environments feel and look very similar, and unfortunately that is true. And the reason is it really does all take place either in or around the Creo facility. But one of the strong points of this game, something that I will continue to praise it for, is the level design itself. And this area, even though it can be really confusing, has some incredible level design. It will continue to loop over and over itself and provide new and interesting shortcuts as we explore.
Welcome.
Now, if we actually try to go over here and interact with this terminal, we can look down here. You can see, obviously, something has gone horribly wrong. There's already some blood there. We don't want to go in there just yet. Let's make sure we stop by the med station.
Due to a power outage, we are unable to provide full service at this time.
So we have a power outage. If we actually try to talk to Sally through the communication terminal, you can see that is turned off. Even if I go and try to check the email, you can see the red bar through it, so nothing we can do there. But once we get the power restored, we will be able to talk to Sally, we can listen to the audio log, and this particular med station is actually going to become somewhat occupied. There are NPCs throughout this area, in fact, quite a few, and a couple of them will make their way back here to the med station once we have actually located them and discussed it with them. Can't even use our gear assembly yet. Unfortunate. But we do have a little bit of scrap here, obviously not enough to get any levels, but I will store it there before we continue. I did reset my multiplier bonus, not a big deal. But coming in here, we have to start looking out for some of the heavy weapon wielding enemies. Once again, seeing that enemy that we saw in the very, very first section. Also, you can already start to see some loot, but if you're careful, you can see what lurks right around the corner, and this is another rhino-wielding enemy, and also he is using the Titan, a very, very strong hammer. And yes, we did get that in the last section. Get that, get the cut, perfect. So if you didn't get the full rhino in the last section, you can certainly do that here. But in order to restore power to the med station, all we need to do is be at level 10, which you begin with, so everyone's going to be able to do this. Overcharge that terminal, and now we can head back, talk to Sally, and listen to that audio log before we push forward.
Shouldn't you be at your designated work site?
Hello?
She said I should get to the executive level, that it's safe there. Security forces have it locked down, but it's the getting there that's the problem. She said things will soon be under control, and they've asked for external aid. It tells you how serious things have gotten if they've called for outside help. But you know what? It's fine. If they've got everything under control, I'm just gonna sit here and wait for them. It's terrifying enough listening to the noises, let alone being out there. I'm safe here.
So people were being told to get to the executive level where it would be safe, but it is currently very, very heavily guarded by security forces, and Sally is up there as well.
Warren, I was starting to worry. I'm glad you're okay.
Will you finally tell me who you are?
Sally. I'm Sally, medical staff assigned to the Executive Forum. I'm isolated up here. Stuck, to be exact. Just trying my best to figure out how I can help.
What the hell's going on here?
There was some kind of incident, that's all I know. Hardly anything is working and your area is in lockdown. I'm trapped up in the Executive Forum. There's loads of distress beacons, but you're the only person I've managed to contact. We have to do something.
Fine. Hope this qualifies for hazard pay.
Okay then. We need to find out what happened, and we won't if we just stay here. We're in this together, and like it or not, we're on our own. At least for the time being.
You tried calling for help?
The system's locked down. There's no way I know to contact anybody outside, and it seems most comms are out apart from the ops.
I better get going.
Be careful out there.
I think that might be one of the worst lines in this entire game. Have you tried calling for help? As if Sally's up there in the executive level, not realizing that she should just make a quick call. As if I was going to say, hey, have you tried calling for help? And Sally would say, huh, You know what? I should give that a shot. Anyway, so not too much more information. We just know that we continue, or we need to continue to climb up in order to get to the executive level.
Should be yours.
All right, so now we can start to push forward. This is where we're already going to start to see a lot of these shortcuts back up to this area, some of which we actually won't uncover for quite some time, such as this elevator. But remember, if you ever want to find out where the terminal is that you need to override, just follow these conduits. They will lead you to the correct spot. And right here, this is actually going to tell us again how to use our drone. If he wasn't already coming, we could have just summoned him just like that. Now I will try and get some energy built up so you can see what kind of damage you are looking at. Come on. Uh-oh. Got a little bit too close there. I was actually going to try and get a stun, but no such luck. And there we go. Call the drone. You can see doing 14 damage, a considerable jump from the 1 and 2 that you normally get. Now with him dead, we have 3 separate options. Progress is typically going to be this way, but there is kind of a shortcut here, although if you actually take a look, we have an item there, but we also have an individual who actually has an override terminal on his back. We could hop down now and grab him, but I'm actually going to hold off for just a little bit. This exolift currently out of order. We do have to activate it from the top. Over here, we have some security forces. What I really like about the security forces in this game is that, well, okay, some of them, they actually don't mind you being here. They just tell you to move along. They're not hostile.
Not safe. Please proceed to the nearest operations.
They're actually acting as if they're actual security guards. The problem is, they're wearing some gear that I would like to get. If you want to get their gear, their armor, and their weapon, you need to kill them. I guess that just makes sense. That's been the nature of the game so far. But in this section, in Central Production B, there are only 4 of these security guards, and they don't respawn. So these are not farmable enemies. So if you want to get it, you need to do it the first time. Now what I recommend is, well, first off, honestly, I don't recommend attacking them because they are very, very strong. If you're going to do so, I do recommend stacking up some of your health implants because you might not need some of the others, especially the healing, but they are tied together. So as soon as you attack one, they're both going to come at you. And if it doesn't look like you're going to get the cut and instead you're going to kill them, just stop. Either let them kill you or run back, break their aggro, rest at the med station, and try again. It might be better to use something that's not as powerful as the packs, but these guys do have a good amount of health. So what I'm actually going to do is I am going to kill them. So I'm going to use that implant in order to start regaining some health, and let's just take a look at both of them. You can see armor everywhere except his left arm is unarmored. Okay, this guy actually doesn't have a chest piece. So I should probably go for his weapon-wielding arm. And then the other one, let's see. No chest piece here. He has the head. And, alright. Now, I believe, just like the enemy in the last area, if I actually quit out, it's possible that they would have the chest pieces. So what I may do is just kill these guys, get whatever I can, and then on the next 2, which we're not going to see in this episode, they are much further down in the area, I will make sure that I get the other 2 pieces. But, here we go.
Move along. Nothing to see here.
And time to start backing up. So the goal is try and generate enough energy. Holy smokes. Okay, they're even tougher than I first realized. Okay, truth be told, that first plan didn't work out, and neither did the next several attempts. But I think I finally have a system that works, well, somewhat, and it doesn't involve getting hit like that. You can see here I did swap out the Imperator for the Vibro Cutter. It is faster, it doesn't generate energy nearly as quickly, but it keeps me alive a little longer because I can dash in, get a couple of hits, get some energy, but then dash out relatively safely. Now I was using the drone to pull out one at a time, even though they are connected. It does give you a quick opportunity to get a couple of hits before the other one starts to join the fight. At this point, it's all about just dashing in, getting a hit to keep their attention, and then backing off. And if you get lucky like I did, one of them will actually go all the way back to the original spawn point, and the other one will follow you almost all the way back to the med station, which is exactly what happens to me, and because they're separated, the fight is a lot more manageable. You can see he's only about a third left. There's the cut. I've removed the weapon arm, which is going to do two things for us. One, it is going to drop their weapon, the MG Negotiator, which is a staff weapon, but I also get the MG Gorgon armor. But we still have one more, so we have another opportunity to get some armor, and I figure at this point, it shouldn't be too bad because his aggro has actually been completely reset, so I can go up and I can just get a free backstab. Perfect. Lots of free damage here. Nothing could possibly go wrong. Just stay in, stay aggressive, and what happens? Even though the cut was available, I still managed to make a mistake. But this doesn't necessarily mean it's the end because one of them is now dead and won't respawn. So once again, I can still get in, I can get the backstab, and this time I can play just a little bit more cautiously. Knock him to his knees. You can see my energy is already plenty. There's the cut, remove the head, and now we get the MG Gorgon headgear. So now we have 2 out of the 4 schematics we need. We did get their weapon. And the next time we see the security, we can just go ahead and go for the other pieces. Well, that clearly didn't go exactly as planned, but hopefully I was able to show you a couple of tips in order to take out that security. There are a couple more later on in Central Production B. We will be taking them on once we get to them, and hopefully we should be able to get the full Gorgon armor set once we kill those 2. By the way, once you do have the full set and you've crafted it and are wearing it, it will actually provide increased stamina regeneration, which is something that everyone could definitely use more of because stamina, as you've seen, comes at quite the cost. Now I have gone back to basically the setup that we began with, although now, because I did actually have to kill those guys and they did drop quite a bit of scrap, I am going to go ahead and just dump it into some extra points. Perfect. And we are now going to go back out there. We don't have much longer left in this episode, but I do figure that we can actually get a little bit further on and at least rescue the very first of the NPCs. So I have gone back to the Imperator because, my goodness, the damage it can do is just remarkable. And look at that, we're actually even improving our proficiency, now up to level 6 for the single raid. And as you can see, these 2 are no longer here. By the way, this is a security door. There's a scanner above it, so you cannot go through it at this time. The security gear that you farm off these guys is not going to let you in there either. But more on that once we actually get a little bit further. Alright, deal with this guy. Perfect. And now, straight ahead, we have another Titan-wielding enemy, but if you're not careful, you're going to get the attention of some other individuals as well. So instead, what I recommend is being a little bit quiet, avoiding him for now. Over here, obviously, we cannot open a 75 terminal. But back here, we do have some pieces for rig armature and cortical processor Mark II, so soon we will be able to start upgrading our armor, which is going to be very, very important. Alright, this guy with the Yasuki butterfly. No big deal, it doesn't have a lot of stability to his name. Dealing with him, and now up here, once we get his pile of scrap, up here is a potentially very dangerous area. I'm going to show you exactly why. Speaking of enemies that don't respawn, up here I call them the Robo-Dogs. Now I truly don't know what any of the enemies are actually called in this game on an official capacity, but there are a number of them up here. In fact, if I'm remembering correctly, there are 5. They don't respawn, so if you manage to kill one and you die, you don't have to worry about them all coming back. Now these guys are tough, and there is kind of a secret to fighting them. Well, not a secret to fighting them, but a secret that you can get off of them, but it's actually something that makes the game more difficult, or at least it makes this fight more difficult. And I'm going to show you that as I wake them up. So what I like to do is, okay, you see that move right there? That is one of the most dangerous moves that they have, apart from when they jump at you, which can do a massive, massive amount of damage. Ideally, there we go, what I like to do is get him to do his spin attack, get a hit, and then just bounce right away. And if he does jump at you, make sure you dodge kind of at the last second because, oh, bad position. And, whoa, why am I stuck? There we go. All right, I was stuck in the corner and in between his legs. But if you can get him to do that spin attack and then just bounce away, you should be able, yep, to avoid all of his other attacks. But the secret is you can actually target that thing that spins. You can see right now I'm actually... Okay, that's new. I've never seen them do that before. But if you actually target that arm, you can break it off and you actually get a unique implant that you can get from breaking off those arms. In fact, it's a really neat implant because it actually adds 6 core power. That's all well and good, but the problem is if you destroy that arm, he doesn't have the same number of attacks, so it actually makes it a little bit more difficult because you can't bait that arm swinging attack, which is my personal favorite. Now I'm going to ignore that one for now and just move on to the next. And once again, just using my drone as much as I can, even if it's not going to do much damage. There's that move, careful. All right, he also has that stab attack, which yes, can get very, very dangerous. But bait that, jump in for a single attack. That move that he does right there, where he does the little backflip and then goes backwards, that's the move that you really have to watch out for if you do cut off that arm. So just dash in, get a hit, and then, oh, back off. He's almost dead. And I should be using my counterweight injection. There we go. All right, one is dead. Now on the next one, I will go ahead and try to get the arm off, but only after I've done some damage. Ooh, ow. Bad first hit. So let's get some damage going first. Ow. This isn't going well. This is not going well at all. Well, we did kill one, and like I said, they don't respawn, so let me get back there, and we'll keep fighting them. Alright, unfortunately, I did pull this individual. I want to deal with him before the other Yosuke butterfly enemy comes. There we go. Which is fine, like I said. Oh, I didn't actually need anything from him anyway, so that's not a big deal. Let's just get the cut. Earning lots of time in order to go get our scrap. And just riding the lift back up. Now, this first one's going to be back because he did fall down and we didn't actually get the kill, which is a bit unfortunate. But luckily, my tech scrap is... Oh, no. Jeez. I guess make sure you step away from the exolift before you try and reclaim your scrap if, of course, you died up there and left it. It's only 1,800 scrap. It's not exactly the end of the world if I were to lose it, but ideally, we wouldn't lose it if we don't have to. Right, now, let's try this again. Using the dash attack whenever we can because it is the fastest. It also seems to have, oh, good hit on him. And tell you, why don't we actually go for the arm cut on this one? That way we don't have to worry about it later on. Oh, and we got it. Yep, perfect. So that's actually going to turn into an implant, and he is almost dead. So now we can just finish him just like that, and over here we will pick up the ancillary core. And if I take a look at that, just by putting this in, it'll give us an extra 6 core power. If you want to wear some of the heavier armor early, you can actually farm these, the ancillary cores, and you can stack them if need be. But I might get one other one, but we definitely won't need more than that. That is for sure. All right, so let's get my drone going. One hit and back off. Not too bad, just play it nice and safe. Back off. Get the injection going again. And did we actually get the arm cut? I'm not sure. We might have. We did, actually. That worked out nicely. That worked out very nicely because we were able to get the cut on the killing blow. So that is actually something that I would recommend. If you can make that work, just be careful. Now this one, if you hug the right wall, you should actually be able to just pull the one without getting the other one. All right, maybe we'll try and get all the kills that way. Might not work out, but we'll try it. All right, now let's switch to the arm. Back up. And once again, did it work? Wow, okay. Not gonna lie, this is actually a tactic that I just came up with, but I'm very, very pleased with the results. All right, now go ahead and jump at me. Oh, you didn't actually jump at me. Get the counterweight going. Another hit. And let's switch to the arm. Back up and finish with another ancillary core. That is exactly what happened. And they are guarding the mechanized counterweight V2. So this is a direct upgrade to the mechanized counterweight that we've already been using. And if we take a look, it is a fairly significant increase. Right now, all of the increases I get are +5 across the board. Now it doesn't weigh anything, or it doesn't take any core power. The upgrade, however, is +15. It is 3 times as powerful. It does take the same amount of energy, but it does take 2 core power, which isn't that big a deal. So if I were to go back right now, I could use that for a much better damage increase. But because it's not hot swappable, I would have to go back to the med station, which right now, I'm actually not going to do. We still want to push forward just a little bit so we can get our very first NPC, which is not going to be very far at all. So we've already gotten the item down there. We've already killed this individual. Now there are more enemies with the Yosuke butterflies. Luckily, they're not patrolling down here right now. Now over here, this door is not going to open just yet. You can hear Davey already talking to us. We'll see him momentarily.
Anyone there?
But you have to be careful, because this guy is right around the corner. Oh, and it looks like we actually just got another individual too. All right, we're going to have to reset this. Just pull him away. The enemy with the Titan should break aggro pretty soon. And we'll just deal with this guy quickly. And back up. All right, he didn't break aggro, but we're still okay. How about a backstab? And I'm not too concerned right now about farming for any equipment. So for now, the name of the game is just survival. Grab some scrap that he dropped. It is relatively safe over here. There is an audio log. We'll grab that momentarily, but first, let's go over here. This requires 13, so if you haven't leveled at all, which I'd be surprised that you didn't, but as long as we have 13, we can overcharge, and this is going to open up the door to meet our first NPC.
Anyone there?
And right inside here, we have Davey.
I thought I was stuck in here for good. Come on, say
Stuff.
something. I appreciate it, really. Thought I was gonna starve in here. Don't know how much longer I would have lasted. So tell me, what's your story?
Name's Davey, man. I work on the shell production line. Ran in here when those freaks started showing up. Didn't realize for hours the door was busted and I was stuck. Don't even know how long I've been in here.
You know what's going on around here?
You mean all this crap? No idea, man. Way above my pay grade. Something hit the system hard, that's for sure. Melted my link. It was like I was tripping in someone else's head. Thoughts, memories, just not my own. Some weird stuff went down. That's all I know.
So, what are you gonna do now?
Dunno, man. Not staying out here, that's for darn sure. Maybe ops? Should be safe, right?
So long.
Later.
Now, Davey is going to head back to the med station once we actually reset the game. Either we can quit out, or we can actually go to the next area, or, of course, if you die. But he will be heading back there shortly. I'm going to grab this audio log in just a moment, but before we do that, I'm actually going to take care of this enemy. Should be able to get a backstab. Wow, one shot to his head. That was actually rather impressive. Some more scrap as well. But what you can see here is...
Don't believe it. Hey, you! Over here! Please, my rig's out of juice. I'm a fucking statue here. Can't move a thing. Can you power it up and jumpstart me?
Now, we were actually looking down on this individual just a little bit ago. We're not going to continue further. Instead, I'm going to grab the audio log, and as we listen to it, I'm going to loop back around to where we were looking down so we can drop down, grab that item, and rescue the second NPC.
How much time has passed? Minutes? Hours? Days? This place is falling apart. I'm falling apart. I was told it wouldn't hurt, that the whole thing would be over in just a couple of minutes. But the pain when it started... I was awake. It cut open my flesh. pierced into my bones. I can still hear the machines, feel them, and I screamed. Just screamed until there was no air left in my lungs. But it didn't stop. It didn't stop.
Sounds oddly familiar to when we were supposedly sedated and had our exo rig attached to us, doesn't it? Over here, do have another implant. This is aggression amplifier. We've already seen that before. But over here, we have Dean Hobbs, whose exo rig apparently is a bit out of juice. So if we want to help him out, we already have the requisite suit power, so we can just overcharge. Apparently it doesn't feel too great. But anything's better than being stuck here, right? Right?
Oh,
Darn.
thank you. Been sitting here so long, my butt is numb. Can't count how many times I've had to play dead out here. Nearly peed my pants a couple of times. I'm Hobbs, Dean Hobbs. No one calls me Dean, so you know, Hobbs is fine.
What are you doing down here?
Well, just being me. I mean, I'm maintenance. I should have left this stuff to security. But I thought, hey, Hobbs, let's find out what's going on here. Stupid, man, just stupid. Wanted to check the failsafe consoles, see what they recorded. Got separated from my crew, but I thought, Hobbs, don't give up now. You can make it. And that's when my rig gave out.
What's your plan?
I'm gonna get my butt out of here before it gets mashed like a bug in a windshield. Think I'll head up to Ops. Should be all right there.
Guess you've got no idea what's going on around here.
Shoot.
Man, I don't know nothing. Felt like my brain was an egg on a griddle and then the yolk popped. Woke up, head ringing like crazy. Everything had just gone to
heck.
What I've seen since then. Man, you wouldn't believe it.
What's the deal with these failsafe consoles?
Well, Creo's got a few around the factory to monitor problems and record them. There's sure to be some crazy stuff on them with all that's going down. And check them out if you want, but my adventuring days are done.
So long, Hobbs.
Stay safe, man. Stay safe.
So not a lot of information from Dean Hobbs other than the fact that it sounds like something happened to everyone who had this neural implant just like we did. But why didn't it affect us?
Failsafe protocol active. Log mark 96 hours, 0 minutes, 0 seconds. Automatic system-wide reboot begun. Data loss analysis. Most Creo systems damaged. 27% of data storage and processing systems report complete data and record loss, with low chance of recovery. Local non-networked power supplies remain operational. Recovery protocols activated. Damaged data sectors attempting temporary repair using analogous systems. Collateral loss of workforce is rated as extreme. Overall work output efficiency remains severely impaired, with all functioning personnel-related systems reporting significant neurological deviation and physical degradation. Functioning implants and rigs should be collected for refurbishment and redistribution to fully functioning human assets.
Just a little bit more of what went down here in the Creo facility, but we will have to get more into that next time. But while we didn't make a whole lot of progress here in Central Production B, we did get some of the basics, we killed some of the more difficult enemies that we're going to face, and we got some new implants. But next time, we will be heading deeper into Central Production. We're going to be fighting more of those front-end loader type machines to get more shiny coins, and hopefully running into even another NPC or two. But if you found anything in this video helpful, please let me know in the comments below. But thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.